This is a regular meeting of the Osborne School District Governing Board. We're going to start with the Pledge of Allegiance. So if you want to rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Next, we have our Osborne School District land acknowledgement. Arizona is home to 22 tribal nations. The Osborne School District is situated on the homelands of the Acamel O'odham and Peepash people. Osborne School District recognizes the original inhabitants of these lands and recognizes they still reside throughout the city of Phoenix. We recognize their wisdom, impact, and generosity towards us. Osborne School District is surrounded by the original Salt River canals that were constructed by the ancestral Sonoran Desert people, the Hohokam. These canals created a livelihood for the people and are still in use today. We acknowledge the modern indigenous people that inhabited this area as well as their Sonoran Desert ancestors, the Hohokam. And next, we're going to move straight into our Osborne Middle School and little presentation. Carol, come on up.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Good evening, members of the Governing Board, President Hermes, Dr. Robert. Thank you so much for providing OMS with the opportunity to highlight our school and community this evening. There's so many aspects about OMS that make me pride and bring me pride. And two of those that I'd like to highlight this evening include our cheer team and our Rooted Soul 21st Century After School Club. We have a proud history of having a strong cheer team, with OMS winning the Arizona Junior High School State Championship in 2019 under the leadership of Sarah Size. Coming out of the pandemic years, Coach Vince Gomez took over leadership of the team and has done a tremendous job over the past 2 seasons. The key to his success is his passion, joy, work ethic, and attitude that he brings to each practice and game. His team has worked so hard this year. They have choreographed performances prepared for each halftime, and they cheer on our teams at each home football and basketball game. They bring the energy and keep the crowds pumped up in supporting our teams. They are definitely a point of pride for OMS. Please welcome Coach Vince Gomez and the OMS cheer team.
Woo!
Right here to the front, please. Right over there, right next to Alba. Everyone else in a straight line, facing the backside and facing our lovely audience members. Make sure that you have space in between. Andrea, move forward, please. Forward. And make sure you guys have space in between y'all. All right, spread out. Spread out, please. And Micah. Andrea, move forward more. There you go. Fabulous. All right, on 8, we are the Firehawks. Are we ready? Clean. 5, 6, 7, 8.
We're the Firehawks. That's right. We're red, black, and white. We're the Firehawks. That's right. We're red, black, and white. We're the Firehawks. That's right. We're red, black, and white.
Woo!
On 8, we are doing G to the O. G to the O. Ready? Clean. 5, 6, 7, 8. Good evening to the board and to our fabulous audience tonight. My name is Coach Vince Gomez, and I would just like to express my gratitude towards y'all for all of your endless support, especially to my colleagues, especially Ms. Hayes, because they've really been there for me as I grew and as I moved forward in this position. And so thank you so much. I would like to call up the two co-captains of my cheer squad, Alicia Krieger and Xiomara Garcia, to speak on the cheer squad's behalf.
Okay, you want to go first? Yeah. Hi, I'm Alicia, and
I'm Xiomara Garcia.
and we're the cheer captains. We've been on this team for 2 years, and it's been one of the best experience I would say of my life. And with Mr. Vince as our coach, and the girls on the team, we've had the best time. Coach has always been a great support system, and he's always known how to help, and he's just always there. And cheer has also helped me out mentally and physically, but it's a really great opportunity to have, and I love it very dearly. It's close to my heart.
I'm Xiomara Garcia. I'm the other captain. I'm very honored to be captain of this team because I love each and every one of these girls and Micah. This would be the second year me and Alicia have been on this team, and for both years have been the most incredible experience I've ever had. These precious memories I wouldn't trade for the world. Like each and every day has been something new, and it's just amazing spending time with these girls and Micah. Sorry. This all, of course, would not be possible without my favorite coach, Mr. Vince. He has always been there when we needed him, cheer related or not, and he has made it possible for us to be here today. And he has always been one of the most accepting people. And I'm really proud to call him as our coach. And thank you for having us tonight.
Yes, thank you guys.
Thank you.
If we could have one more hand for our OMS cheer team, please.
Yeah.
The second highlight of this evening is for our Rooted Soul organization. They have partnered with us this year, and they've provided after-school Rooted Soul and Rooted Soil club opportunities to our students. Rooted Soul values authenticity, fun, and a holistic approach to connecting people who have big ideas and even bigger hearts. They have provided our students with many self-care tools and practices that can be so impactful to our young people. I would like to introduce to you Mr. Miguel, who works with our students on a weekly basis and has more to share with you about our Rooted Soul program.
Thank you, board members. Thank you, Principal Hayes. Oh. No, it's okay. Yeah. So yeah, I'm Mr. Miguel with Rooted Soul. What I like to do is, just help people relax on my own. I have my own practice, my own meditation where, adults come and we just really tap into the breathing and the meditation and we explore what it is to be connected back to our bodies, to our minds when we're in these relaxed states. So what I find with the students is taking them into that state of relaxation is something that a lot of them haven't experienced. With all the things going on, we weren't raised when we had phones and all these screens in our face, so it's a way to allow them to kind of put that down and really stop the mind and reconnect to themselves. And it's really amazing when they come out of the meditation, just their eyes, they're just like, whoa, like I didn't know I can be that relaxed. I didn't know I could feel that peace, so for me, it's been an honor. And as I'm continuing to guide, just people, adults, teens, I see that growth inside them. It's the same across the board, so I really appreciate you guys and, Ms. Hayes and everybody, Ms. Torres as well, for bringing me on and, believing in something like this can help the community, because that's what we believe. We need more safe spaces for ourselves as well as for the teens, to cultivate their voice, to understand where their power lies. And so then we can go from there and figure out what it is they want to do. So what I'll do real quick is I'll kind of guide you guys through a little quick meditation. If you guys want to just sit back, and I welcome you guys if you guys want to partake as well. Just kind of sit back and relax, and I'll play the little sound bowl here. And so what I want you guys to do is, if you can, close your eyes, and we'll start by taking a deep breath in and out, and in and out. And you'll keep that motion going in and out, keeping it strong, connecting back to your breath. Maybe you haven't taken a deep breath today, so go ahead and allow yourself to take a deep breath in and let it go. And we'll do 10 more, so keep going. Five more. Three more. And this last one, make it the biggest breath you've taken all day. Breathe in and let it go, and we'll go into a breath hold, just a quick 30-second breath hold, reconnecting to your heartbeat, reconnecting to this peace, sending your body all the energy from all those breaths you just took, allowing the body and the mind to connect again just in this present moment. And when you're ready, take a big breath in, and 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And hold it. Hold the breath at the top, visualizing all the things that you need, realizing that you have them right here in front of you, and letting go. Sitting with that peace, giving thanks to the moment, to the air, to your lungs. And taking another deep breath in, coming back to the thinking mind, coming back to the present. And taking another deep breath in, opening your eyes, maybe moving your fingers again. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Mr. Miguel. That was great. I don't know if you're supposed to clap for a meditation, but that was wonderful. That was wonderful.
Thank you, Mr. Miguel. I'd like to introduce up to the podium with me Ms. Allison Gomez, our Vice Principal. I have to say I'm so thankful and blessed to work with our OMS staff, students, and community. When I am at school, I feel surrounded by possibility, optimism, selflessness, and greatness. Mrs. Gomez and I are honored to be able to highlight some of the people that make OMS such a special place for us and our school community. Would Miss Lena Schiller please approach the podium? Lena is in her first year at OMS, and we're recognizing her for integrity, by the way. She's in her first year at OMS and brings over 20 years of experience to us. She served as our behavior interventionist, and with the wealth of knowledge and experience she hit the ground running and really hasn't stopped, nor has she had an opportunity to. She is a great teammate. She is willing to help whenever is needed. She is trusted by our student success team, and she always keeps the best interest of students in mind. What is most impressive about Ms. Schiller and why I think she is so successful is that she sees the best in everyone and helps those students who don't see that yet in themselves. She helps them the most. Here are some of the things that our staff had to say about Lena. I nominate Lena because she holds true to her word, she holds students accountable, and she does so fairly and praises them just as accordingly. The follow-up with students' behavior has been awesome to witness, and it feels really great knowing she's here with the best interest of all in mind. She is fair to every student, and each day is a fresh start. She does her job extremely well, and she's there for all the students and staff and always wants to lend a helping hand. Lena, you're a wonderful human being, and I'm incredibly grateful to have the opportunity to work with you every day. So this, ma'am, is for you. Congratulations. Thank you very much.
Our next recipient for the Love Award is also for integrity and goes to Miss Tatiana Torres. So Ms. Torres is our social worker at OMS, and she is an invaluable member to our school. Being a social worker basically means that she does it all, and she does it all really well. She works with students to provide individual counseling. She runs small groups during lunch. She teaches social emotional lessons to our entire school, creates safe spaces for students to open up and express themselves. She's a liaison for McKinney-Vento, organizes toy drives during the holiday season, and she just happens to coordinate the after-school programs for our 21st Century Grant. As I said, she does it all. But Ms. Torres was nominated for integrity because she does so much for our school, but she meets those demands by doing what's right, even when it's hard. Being a teenager is really difficult today, and for many students, they know they can turn to her as a sounding board for working through some of their toughest situations. She's also an invaluable member to our school because she really helps us make careful decisions about what a student or family needs to be successful as a person, not just as a student at OMS. Multiple colleagues cited her compassion, kindness, and dedication to student well-being as the reason she deserves recognition for this award, and I couldn't agree more. Ms. Torres, we'd be lost without your guidance. Thank you so much.
Mrs. Sarah Size. Sarah is being recognized for growth, and I don't know OMS without Sarah Size. In her close to 20 years at OMS, she has been someone who has led by example and whose opinion is taken seriously by all of us that have the privilege to work with her. She's being recognized for growth tonight, but I believe she's able to support so many of her students in growing in math due to the positive relationships she creates with each one of them. She has high expectations for each of her students, and she pushes them beyond their comfort zone, but also supports them so that they can meet her expectations. She makes it a point in each lesson to check in with each one of them to see how they're doing personally, if they've completed their homework, and if they have any questions as they complete their warm-up. Last year, her median growth for all of her classes was around 82%, which is incredible through the roof. And she continues to support her students in their growth this year. Here are some of the things her colleagues had to say about her. Sarah always does the right thing, even when it's difficult, and even when nobody is watching. Sarah shows the same strength of character day after day. The next person said, I would like to nominate Sarah for growth because of the amazing growth her students achieve in math. She goes above and beyond for each of her classes, tailoring her lessons to their strengths and weaknesses to make sure the content is accessible to them. Sarah, you're an incredible teacher and individual, and I'm so thankful for the opportunity to work with you and watch you in action with your students every day. Congrats.
Our next recipient for the Love Award is for joy, and this goes to Mr. Vince Gomez. So Mr. Vince is in his second year of teaching, but he has the vibrancy of a teacher during summer training.
Yes.
All of last year, I kept waiting for him to come upset or melancholy to school, just as many first-year teachers encounter, and it just never happened. I'm sure he's had many low moments, but Mr. Vince's hallmark trait is that he's resilient. He finds the joy in everyday situations, whether it's a student volunteering to read out loud, a student blurting out a random fact, or a student running up to share a TikTok dance with him. He finds happiness in all of the funny, weird middle school moments. He also brings the same passion and joy to his cheer squad. Mr. Vince has cultivated one of the most outstanding cheer teams. There can be a lot of drama with cheer teams, but he insists that students are held to high standards teaches them with high energy, and always brings a smiling face to his team. He'll also be coaching track this year, and I have no doubt he'll show the same energetic leadership to that team. Mr. Vince also provides much needed laughter to our staff. He's been vital at supporting school policies, being a team player, and building positivity within his PLC and beyond. He seems to show the golden rule by treating others the way you'd like to be treated. On behalf of the OMS campus, we're so grateful for the joy you bring, and please know that we notice it and appreciate it daily.
And also your certificate. Let's get that out of here. There you are, sir. Congratulations. Next, we'll be recognizing Julie Georges for equity. Unfortunately, she came down sick this afternoon and couldn't make it, but we still want to share the positive words with you all. I remember the day that we interviewed Miss Georges for our band job. She was so good. And as soon as she walked out the door, we all looked at each other and said, we have to hire her. What incredible accomplishments Julie has made in her time in the Osborne district, from growing our music department district-wide to building a band at Clarendon and OMS that we are so incredibly proud of, to her work on the music in Merriment, and her work on applications for grants from Mr. Holland's Opus to secure over $15,000 worth of new instruments for both Clarendon and OMS, and to having close to 30 students each year perform in the Greater Phoenix Band, and I could go on. Julie has her band classes built back up to about 30 students in Firehawk Band and about 30 in Rookie Band. She accepts students into her classes no matter what type of experience they've had in band and no matter what part of the year of the school year we're in, whether it's the last day of school or the middle of the year, she's accepting students and growing them. Along with Meg Gunderson last year and Chantel Becerra this year, she implemented the United Sound Program, which provides students with special abilities the opportunity to learn how to play an instrument with the support from a peer that serves as a partner and mentor and ultimately perform in the winter concert. And they sounded fantastic this year. Here's what a colleague had to say about Julia. Julia is so wonderful at making sure every student that wants to be involved in music has a place. She teaches multiple levels and meets every student where they're at to make them feel included. And I have to say, Julia is an amazing individual who has done so much to positively affect the lives of others, and I'm so honored to be able to work with her. So shout out to Miss Julia Georges.
Woo! Okay, any questions? One more. Okay, great.
One more.
Okay, good. Before we pelt you with questions, yes. And
So our next recipient for the Love Award is for relationships, and it goes to Mr. Hess.
oh, yes. Oh, yeah.
So Mr. Hess is a 7th and 8th grade science teacher, PLC science lead, and a mentor teacher on our leadership team. And there's a reason he takes on multiple leadership roles. It's not just because he's a content expert, but he's just really good at building connections with students and staff. Science is a really tough subject to teach, and he's the first person to lift up and support his teammates. He's patient with helping pace out the content, and he's always willing to share his instructional strategies. On top of his colleagues routinely having positive things to say about Mr. Hess, the students love to chime in about his teaching. Students had the following to say about your science class. I love being in Mr. Hess's science class because we learn about so many different things and we have fun while we do it. Another student said, I can tell Mr. Hess loves what he teaches and he makes learning exciting for us. Even though he's strict, he has to be, so we stay on task and learn something new. Smiley face.
Love it.
And don't even get the students started talking about how much they love their class pet, the lizard, Puff. They love him. Students and staff enjoy Mr. Hess because he is a person of his word and is willing to support in any way he can. From being out during passing periods, encouraging students to get to class on time, sending daily pick-me-up emails to staff, he's willing to do what's best for our school and is a leader by example. We are so thankful for you, Mr. Hess, and all that you do to contribute to OMS. Yay.
There you are, sir. And catch. Thank you so much.
Okay, any questions for Principal Hayes, Vice Principal Gomez, or any questions for Mr. Miguel? Thank you so much. We've got to bring you back. That was very calming. I really appreciate it. Any questions? I just have one. Maybe this is better for Coach Gomez, but have you thought about that was wonderful, by the way. I as a former cheerleader myself, I loved every second of it. I'm Micah, I see you. And like, I was there. But have you thought about maybe putting on a clinic for the younger kids? I've got 2 little girls in the Osborne district, not quite middle school age, but I mean, I think there's some appetite for our younger students to maybe get taught on a clinic or something like that. Have you ever thought about that?
Yeah, I've actually been giving some thought to starting a dance club. Actually, so surprised. So currently, I'm working on my master's at Arizona State, and so once I finish that, next year I'd have more free time, and I was wondering if I can start maybe a dance club that'll be welcoming towards any age, like from the community. And so, if you're a student at one of the elementary schools, or if you're a high schooler wanting to come back, then they'd be more than welcome to sign up, have some fun, learn some moves, maybe perform during pep rallies as well.
Yeah.
And so that was my little surprise.
I love it. As if you don't have enough going on. I love it. I love it. This is great. Well, thank you so much for all of your service. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Yep. Thank you, everybody. Okay. Continuing with celebrations, I'm going to kick it over to our superintendent.
Yeah, just a couple quick things. We normally take an opportunity to greet all of our guests that are here. So before we break, 2 quick celebrations. Well, one's not a celebration, but well, I guess it is a celebration. It's something happening in Osborne this week. Kind of last minute, we've been working with AEA, the Arizona Education Association, on the United States Department of Education is coming to Arizona. They're sending some representatives from the Office of English Language Acquisition, as well as the Office of Civil Rights. This weekend, January 21st, marks the 50th anniversary of the Lau versus Nichols hearing. If any of you that have gone through your ed classes know that was a Supreme Court case brought back in 1973, 74, 50 years. That in San Francisco that ultimately made it to the Supreme Court, recognizing it was parents on behalf of their students that were English learners that didn't feel that they had equal access to the curriculum, that they were just being talked at but not instructed. The instruction wasn't made comprehensible for those students. And so it was a landmark decision that said that, found it a violation of civil rights. Of those students. And so it's not surprising that the Office of Civil Rights wants to be involved right at this time that we're commemorating this 50th anniversary. Very interesting that they're choosing to come to the state of Arizona, the only state in the country that still has restrictive English-only policies at a statewide level. We've seen this happen in other states, and every other state seems to have come to their senses about, number one, just brain science and good learning, but also being on board with full open access for all students. Number one, to be able to access the curriculum, but all areas of the curriculum, including enriching areas and means of language and cultural preservation, as well as enrichment and learning a new language. So we're going to have representatives from the AEA is hosting the United States Department of Education, and knowing that we're 25 years into doing dual language here in Osborne and that we have outstanding programs, they wanted to highlight the Osborne School District. So on this Thursday at 2 o'clock, it's kind of the first event, just kind of a kickoff for the Department of Ed. They're bringing in some representatives that are going to be speaking. But from 4:30 to 6:30, there's going to be an invitation to the community, staff, anyone that wants to come and just kind of hear about the work, about knowing and exercising rights when it comes to accessing education. And then on Friday, those Department of Ed officials are going to be touring some schools within the state of Arizona, or here within Phoenix, and they're spending a couple hours with us here within Osborne to take a look at our dual language program, and going on to a couple other districts, another elementary district that's doing dual language, as well as a high school district that has native studies as a foreign language. I think it's Tempe Union High School District that has Pasquayaki language classes within their school. So we'll have. I just sent it to the governing board. We heard who the representatives that are coming in, but we'll have someone from OCR, someone from the Office of English Language Supports, as well as someone from the White House Initiative on Native. I want to have the correct title, so give me one quick second to just pull up my. It'll be Naomi Miguel, the Executive Director of the White House Initiative for Native Americans and Strengthening Tribal Colleges and Universities here within Osborne School District. So we're very honored to have been selected for this visit. We are also super happy to announce that we have that we were funded for a EPA, an Environmental Protection Agency, Clean Buses grant that's going to be getting 6 electric buses into Osborne. Now, you may have remember that a couple years ago we applied for, thank you, Dr. Woodland, for that application a couple years ago on our transportation and modernization grant. That was about a $2 million grant that got our first buses, as well as a lot of the work that you see putting in the infrastructure for the electric fleet and the things that we need to do to take care of those buses. Ms. Sotomayor wrote this latest grant, and these 6 buses not only represent, getting those buses in, but we also wrote that into our bond. So we were planning on spending bond money on getting these buses. Instead, because that money has been freed up, that's going to be about $2 million more that we're going to be able to maximize our bond dollars towards classroom improvement. So it's just a...
That's right.
opportunity and celebration. And in light of that, we have a former board member, current resident and citizen within Osborne, Elena Aguilar, who's here, who has been a staunch supporter of this, but she's been taking a very active role since her board work with advocacy. So I wanted to invite her to celebrate with us, as well as share with us a little bit of her advocacy that she's been doing.
Thank you. It sounds like a lot of amazing things have been happening since I've been gone, and congratulations to the new board member. Yeah, and I'm really excited about OELAs. It only took 25 years, but we're excited to have them here. And I would love to join the dance once the club is up and running. If former board members are allowed. I don't know how to dance, but I'm willing to learn. No, but thank you for this opportunity. I'm always going to be a strong advocate for our community, for Osborne. My son, who's here, he came through I think it was 3rd through 8th, and then my youngest is not here because he just had surgery. But I have 2 children who attended the school district, and I'm always promoting Osborne. It's the best school district in our state, especially our dual language program. I will never get tired of saying that to other people that are not in our community. But I'm here today in a different role with a different hat, and this is with Moms Clean Air Force. And it's an organization that advocates for clean energy. And today I'm very excited, superintendent, board members, to congratulate you guys. I still remember when we received our first electric bus, and also remember when we were pursuing the previous grant and how Dr. Woodland put it together with the team in a week or 2. I remember it was amazing. I still remember all that work that was invested at that time. But I just wanted to come back and on behalf of Moms Clean Air Force, applaud you guys for the $2 million. That's a big deal. And the program actually provides $5 billion nationally to school districts. And I think that in our state, it's approximately $40 million that were received for all the school districts. Wow. $2 million is a lot of money, especially for a school district like ours. And the fact that we're transitioning to electric buses, that's going to dramatically reduce asthma triggering particulate matters that penetrate deep into our lungs. The pollution causes substantial health issues for our children, including cancer, respiratory disease, and developmental damages. So your leadership in choosing children's well-being over convenience is commendable. Additionally, eliminating tailpipe emissions shrinks Osborne's carbon footprint as rapidly decarbonize our electric grid. Your zero emission buses will set the standard for neighboring districts. I cannot wait to see the students benefiting from cleaner rides this coming school year. Once the new buses arrive, we would be honored to coordinate a press event in partnership with you to showcase the district's commitment to equitable, healthy transportation options for all. Congratulations again on embracing this opportunity through visionary action. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I am coming back for dance class. He's not here, but I'm coming back.
And of course, we would love to have you back to do a big press event when they get the buses in, the buses are rolling out. We would love that. Thank you so much for all your
Thank
work.
you.
Yes, thank you. Okay, we're gonna take a quick break. I know about 5, maybe 8 minute break, so folks can get a couple pictures here, but also you guys probably have homework and need to get to dinner and all that kind of stuff. So we'll let people filter out. Brendan, where do you want us, buddy? You want? Okay. Okay, we'll cheer. Come on up to the front and spread love award winners out to the lobby, and we will resume the board meeting in about 5. back. And that was wonderful. We're moving on to the consent agenda. Any questions, comments related to the consent agenda? If not, I will take a motion.
I move to approve the consent agenda.
Do I have a second?
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, it does pass. I was also an aye. I don't know if I said it, but I was an aye as well. Anything for the call to the public, Lisa?
No, none.
Okay, wonderful. And we don't have a board presentation this month.
Not this month.
Moving straight to administrative reports since our December meeting. Any questions about our administrative reports? Not seeing any. I just always appreciate all the hard work that our administrators go into to put those reports together. Thank you so much. Moving on to action items. We're trucking along. This is our first meeting of 2024. Happy New Year, everyone. And the first thing we always have to do is board reorganization every year with the election of a president, clerk, and establishment of meeting times, dates, and places. So I'm just planning on going through those in that order. We need to elect a president. I'm going to just toss it out there for discussions, nominations. Everyone's looking at me like, you want to do it again? I'm open to do it again if you guys will have me, but
Nominate Ed Hermes.
I second that.
okay. It's been moved and seconded. Go ahead.
Just kind of procedure.
Go ahead.
You've been nominated. Do you accept the nomination?
I accept the nomination.
Okay, and so
Yeah.
now we should open up for any other nominations. So if there are any other nominations, and then we can go procedurally through a vote. And then we'll do the same with the clerk.
Okay. Any other nominations? Seeing none. I'm going to go ahead and put it to a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Speak now. Okay. Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate it. It's been a fun year this last year. I feel like I've learned a lot and hopefully bring that into this year. And I think I'm willing to do one more year here. So as a president, moving on to election of clerk. Do we have any nominations for clerk? I feel like everyone's.
Can I nominate myself?
You certainly can.
I accept.
Okay. I will also nominate you, Luis, so you don't have to nominate yourself on the minutes there. I appreciate it. Do we have any other nominations? Okay, seeing none. All in favor of Luis Peralta as our clerk? Aye. Any opposed? Nay. No, not me. I'm not opposed. I'm an aye. It does pass. Thank you so much, unanimously. Thank you so much, Board Member Peralta, for serving again as our clerk. Establishment of our meeting dates, times, and places. This one, want to make sure that there's some recommendations in our packet, but nothing's in stone here. Get out your calendars right now, board members. We want to make sure that this is something that works for everybody. I know, we all have jobs, we all have commitments, and so we want to make sure it's something that works for the community, first and foremost, our district, as well as our board members. So I think that right now we do our board meetings on, is it what?
Third Tuesday of every
Third
month.
Tuesday, and we do our work study sessions on the first Thursday. I don't think that works for us because this year, and board member Ramos and I have talked about that, so we want to do something different. And
So a question
remind
about
me, go
that,
ahead.
Violetta, you, board member Ramos, sorry, we're so informal.
It's all good. All good.
You mentioned at the last meeting that you're not available on those first Thursdays. Is it a time issue or is it a day?
It's both, I guess.
Mhm.
So I'm the department chair of the world languages at Metro Tech High School, and so our meetings are the first Thursday of the month from 3:30 to 5:30. And so I've been missing this last semester half of those meetings to run here, and I've been making it late. So I would ideally love to have my full attention there and my full attention here.
Of course.
And then since I do work for Phoenix Union High School District, I do like to attend the board meetings over there. and stay up to date as to what is going on for the district that I work for. And so those meetings are also on the first Thursday of the month, and they start at 6 o'clock.
So if we did first Tuesday for our policy or our work study
study
sessions,
session.
but we did them maybe later because I know board member Ford and I talked a little bit, and I think you have a conflict on the first Tuesday. What until is that up until like would it be where to work if it was a 5 or 5:30 start?
Encanto PTO meets on the first Tuesday of every month at 5 p.m.
Okay.
So if we made it 6, I could jet out. We're just right next door.
Yeah.
If we wanted to do that and just move it into a later time.
That works for me, but I want to. Does that work for everybody else? So it would be the third, just for discussion purposes. So I'm keeping a track in my mind. Third Tuesday. And we used to do all of our meetings at 6. This is a long time ago, pre-pandemic, but I think there's some precedence for having it at 6. I don't think it's too late. Third Tuesday would be our normal meetings, like this one, at 5:30, and then first Tuesday would be our work study sessions at 6. I think that's what we're talking about right now. Any thoughts and discussions about that?
I know we had moved it up so that teachers could join us
Mm-hmm.
if they wanted to. That way they're not waiting around before going home. Do we want to look at a different day so we can keep it early, or is everyone okay with the 6 o'clock?
We could do would be Wednesdays be better potentially
So
for our work study
Wednesdays-
session?
Wednesdays are when we, have our professional development day within the district. But also when we get into the spring semester, that's when we've got our PD day, but then we've got things like budget committee and things like that. We try and keep that to Wednesdays. So, just in terms of time, I really try and avoid things on those Wednesdays.
So that I'm fine with with our work study sessions. Like I said, they're not every month. I think there's 9 or 10 a year.
Well, the work study sessions, there's actually fewer than that. There's about 7. Number one, we don't do work studies during the summer.
yeah.
We can also, one thing that I'm very conscious of is these meetings, they're your meetings. And so, of course, you're scheduling it for yourself. But the point of a work study is to be able to bring some items that require a little bit of deeper discussion. And a lot of times those discussions, there are some things that we've just met about, for a work study session where it's been the board and me.
Yeah.
And I'm yours all times. But there are some things that require a lot of the team to be there. And so just being cognizant of the time that we're asking folks to stay. So, one thing that to keep in mind too is those 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 work study sessions.
Really.
The work of the board, the governance of the board is really done on those Tuesday regular board meetings. This second meeting is an opportunity to explore. So we could, if we're looking at that later time, I would also want to limit the number of work study sessions that we're doing. So we can choose that time, but I would also not want to hold us as firm to using all of these dates. The dates are available,
Yeah.
but maybe picking a certain number of topics that we want to have those deep dives. When
Yeah.
we definitely have deep dives in terms of disaggregating data, disaggregating academic data, disaggregating behavioral data. There's most certainly a work study session around budgets that we wind up having in the spring, and maybe one more work study session. Or we have our full day retreat too that we will do together. So maybe among those, if we're going with a later time, maybe not as frequent of meetings, but again, these are your meetings and topics that you would want would want to be looking into. So
And a lot of boards, just to kind of give some context, a lot of other elementary school boards will do work study sessions and board meetings at the same day. I know board member, she left already, but a board member Aguilar and I talked about that concept in the past. So it's not. I agree with you that these dates are. It's really only 6 because the full day retreat is something kind of unique and
Right.
different. So we're really talking about 6 work study sessions, and those can kind of be malleable if we don't need those dates or.
Yeah, I mean, you can see we already eliminated the January work study session. When we get into the calendar, again, this is going to be one of those years where the entire first week of January is going to be proposed for being off. Fortunately, we've had the change with the legislation that we can do our reorganization at any time during the month of January. It doesn't have to be in the first 15 days. So you can see in January, we're going to do, we won't have a work study session where we'll be coming back. January 16th will be our only meeting of that month. Really looking to, honor your time in June and July, and not bring you in during those dates. And, around the holiday time, December is a very busy time. And invariably, when we wind up in work study session in December, we do wind up missing activities that are happening at the schools, concerts and things like that. So it's nice to leave December open too, just for being available to the community.
Yep. Okay, feedback on that concept. So I think we're still thinking our normal meetings, third Tuesday, 5:30. That's the ones you see on the packet on the left, and then work study. Unless there's any other kind of ideas, we're looking at first Tuesday for those 6. First Tuesday at 6 p.m. for those 6, and maybe depending on issues, we can change that around. Leanne?
The only thing I would say, unless we're changing like dates, but October 8th is during fall break, and I know you all know that. I know that there's the budget deadline, but I don't know if maybe we can kind of look at a different date for that. And then November 5th is election day.
Oh. Yeah, let's and this we might have.
Yeah, that's kind of a big day, huh?
Yeah.
2024.
Kind of a big day.
And I don't know if we're using this
this
room
is
again for that, but
wonderful if we could. But they.
Yeah, when we were thinking about it, initially we were thinking about November 7th, about that Thursday. So it being on the Tuesday. Yeah.
We did just have the conversation where we were saying that we don't need all those days. Maybe
Yeah.
November 5th, we just don't need. It's election day.
Let's scratch November 5th as we do. I mean, we will call a meeting as things come up and things are needed. But I think I agree with you. Let's scratch that November 5th date, and then October 8th.
Colleen, the October 15th. So October 8th is a Tuesday. The following Tuesday is the 15th. Submission is by. Could we have the meeting on the 15th of October? And if you still be able to submit it?
Yes, it just has to be approved by the 15th.
Okay.
Okay.
if there happened to be like something though where we needed to rework something, I'm not saying that there would be or there wouldn't be, but if there was, would that,
We wind up bringing the AFR for revision in December anyway. So what circumstances, Colleen, can you think of where we would have the AFR being brought to you on a day where the board would not be giving you approval of that AFR? Well, and the 8th, that's during our fall break week. We did that this year, but it was there was great inconvenience around, especially as people are taking vacations and may not be in places where they have cell service,
So the 15th would work.
Okay.
We have up until the midnight of the 15th for the board to operate it. And then that still gives me 3 days after that to submit everything to the state.
Okay.
If by the 15th there would be a revision or something that needed to be corrected after, we've brought that back to the board in past years at the December or January meeting. But the likelihood of anything being revised after the 15th is very, very unlikely. The item that is usually revised by the board after the 15th is our fixed assets, because we don't lock those values in until after our fiscal audit is completed. But as far as like fund balances and things like that, that would not typically be adjusted after October 15th.
would it be too early to do October 1st?
That's what I was thinking.
yeah.
So
Just based on the timeline of when the state this past year released the AFR form.
Yeah. Oh,
they
right.
released it
Yeah.
the last week of
That's right.
September.
Yeah.
That's not.
Yeah. No.
sounds like the 15th would work for
Hey,
Colleen. Does
Gianna?
it work for that work for you guys?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's shift that one from the. That's a great catch. Let's shift that one from the 8th to the 15th then. Anything else on that anybody catches anybody's eye here? This is our board, schedule. September 3rd, in terms of a full day retreat. I know we talked about that in the past, whether we want to do half day, whether we want to do a full day. Does that work for you guys? I know it's right now it says full day. We can do half day again. What
Well,
were your
I
thoughts?
thought we had done a half day last fall, so we could do a half day this spring. So is
Yeah.
that something we want to add?
Yeah, I think
This
it's a good
spring
idea.
rather than doing it in the fall.
Well, I think we had said the idea was to do like a half day in the fall
Mhm.
and a half day in the spring to cover that full day.
Mm.
And then I am open to doing the full day in September.
There was something we were going to talk about that I can't remember what it was. There was something that we wouldn't have had. It was data,
I think,
test data. I don't remember.
and I think it also was another board member was our we were missing a board member at that time, so we thought let's break it up. Let's have half of our retreat or half of that time at least. We had a full retreat, but half
Yeah.
the time. And so it's up to us. Do we want to do make it this a biannual kind of retreat half day? Do you want to do a springtime? And if so, what day this spring would you want to do it?
Well, and we definitely take that at least one day with the administrative team, so we can stick with the fall for that day with the full team. But if we're doing something in the spring, we can choose maybe that April date. Perhaps we can come together that afternoon for retreat purposes, and then still. I don't know, come back together for the work study session that afternoon. That would allow Violetta to, be able to fulfill your obligations that you have. Or no, because
Tuesdays
that's on a
I'm good,
Tuesday.
yeah.
That's on a Tuesday,
Yeah.
so it's fine.
Well, let's do this. Let's, for the purposes of passing this today, let's pass it with the modification on October 8th, with deletion of November 5th. Let Dr. Robert and I work on this, spring
for us,
session
yeah.
kind of retreat, and we'll work schedules out offline, and then we will do the same with the September 3rd retreat. So we're kind of all aligned well in advance of
Just
that.
knowing that, so Lisa, you can take off on that September 3rd that it's a full day. We'll just kind of
Keep it a full day.
no. We'll say that it's not a full day. We'll take that off of there.
Mhm.
Just knowing that we're going to be breaking it up into
Like we did this
whether
last
we
year.
whether we have that spring date down or not. That's just going to be a.
That sounds good.
Does it make sense to put for the work study, since we're not doing it November 5th, November 12th? I'm just thinking we wouldn't have a work study.
For half a year.
Yeah, I
Mhm.
just, it's such a, I mean, obviously any time in the school year is important, but
Yeah.
it's such a huge chunk of the school year. And I
Yeah.
mean, I guess we can always determine at that time, we don't need the work study, but I feel like just in my year on the board,
Yeah.
so far, that I think it would be beneficial.
It would be
to,
nice to have one like maybe late November.
no,
And
Or just the
and
following
we'll
week.
have just gotten, I think by November 1 is the date that the Department of Ed has to have grade A through F grades settled. So we'll, that's the time that we normally talk about that disaggregated academic data and really able to get that comprehensive look, like close out the spring, like the data will have been in from the spring. You will know numbers, but we'll, have our profiles finalized, and we can have a full
Got it.
discussion. We'll have also had fall benchmark data completed and analyzed, so we can, at that point in November, we'd be able to close the books on 23-24, as well as kind of have our action plans for 24-25 set.
What about doing a work study session on the November 12th, just back 1 week?
Yeah, that'd be perfect.
That work? Okay, let's do that then. Well, I think I'm going to try my hand out a motion here. Catch me if I miss anything. I'm going to move to approve the meeting dates, times, and places here as presented, with the modification that we're going to do our work study sessions on the first Tuesday, and at 6 p.m. And we're going to be doing our regular board meetings on the third Tuesday at 5:30 p.m. And we're going to be shifting the regular meeting on the October 8th to October 15th and shifting the work study session from November 5th to November 12th.
Whoever seconds it has to say all that again. Just kidding.
No.
I'll second it.
Any discussion? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, it does pass. And Dr. Rivera, if you want to maybe just circulate that to everybody and I guess get that up online for everybody, just to make sure we've all got that correct dates on our calendar.
Yes.
Okay, moving on. Thank you so much. Moving on to approval of open enrollment capacity for the 2024-2025 school year.
This doesn't get into the numbers. This is just the approval from the governing board that we're going to provide notice of open enrollment, which we're required to put on our website and update regularly throughout the year. So it's not just something that goes on there once a month, but just so families can be updated as to the progress of, if capacity has been filled or whatever. But this is our ask to provide notice of open enrollment at all of our schools and programs listed below for the 24-25 school year. This will allow us to open our enrollment season this week.
Wonderful. Any questions? I guess quick question. I know we did something similar in our December special meeting. Is that kind of dovetail with this in terms of opening enrollment? You know which one I'm talking about?
I do, yeah. So
How
that
do
was
two things work together?
Yep. Hold on one second. Let me just pull something up real quick.
Yeah.
I think that was for the preschool, right?
Yes.
That was
yeah.
the opening for the preschool opening enrollment. Okay.
Yeah, because
Got
it was specific, program specific, and this is school.
Good
Thank
memory.
you.
Yes.
I was pulling up the agenda, but you're
your memory's
faster
better than
I am.
mine because I just remember doing something related to open enrollment, and thank you for that, Board Member Ramos. And then, am I to understand? Because I know we're all out there pushing Osborne and saying, "Hey, bring your young ones to us." Am I to understand that at some point this week, open enrollment will be open and people can submit applications?
Yeah, and we're going to have a 3, 2, 1 go. So over the next few days, we'll be letting you know 3 days to go until open enrollment, or until online enrollment begins for next year. 2 days to go, 1 day to go, and then we'll launch on Friday.
Okay, launching on Friday is a plan, and then that'll be like when you say 3, 2, 1. That'll like something for us to look at on social media.
On socials, yes.
Okay, cool. Sounds great. Any other questions? Okay, hearing none, I will entertain a motion.
I move to approve the open enrollment.
Okay, I will second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, it does pass. Okay, approval of the 2024-2025 school calendar.
Yes. So one thing that President Hermes and I talked about is, we do this annually, approval of calendar, and most of the time we're using Phoenix Union as our starting point. So I'm going to be putting together this spring a parent and staff committee to work on multi-year calendaring. But in the meantime, we've got the 24-25 school year calendar. Phoenix Union's calendar has been set for a while for the 24-25 school year. So things that we take in mind when coming up with a proposed calendar for you. Number one, we look at the fact that we are one great pre-K-12 community, and so doing as much as possible to align our calendar with Phoenix Union's calendar. We're not going to be a perfect match, but so much our parents are, number one, just the ease of for vacations and things like that, keeping everybody on the same schedule. There may be an associated day that doesn't match up. But over the past few years, we've actually done a much better job of the addition of Cesar Chavez, recognition of that day, as Phoenix Union has done for years, and now we're in alignment with Phoenix Union again on that. So number one, we look at Phoenix Union start, finish, fall break, spring break dates, and try and align those as much as possible. Sometimes our start dates or our finish dates aren't the same. Looking at Phoenix Union 24-25, we're looking at the same start date of Monday, August 5th. Phoenix Union gets all nutty at the very end of the year because of graduations. and different, days that things, we're not going to try and finish on the same day as Phoenix Union. We'll be finishing in the same week, though. We keep in mind Osborne historical asks. And so some things that we've worked over the past 10 years on, and done a really good job of accommodating Osborne staff with. Number one, that week of Thanksgiving. For many years, we were working on that Wednesday. Then we were kind of like, we're working Wednesday, but we'll see you when, the day's over. Even though it was still listed as a full day, when that half day was over, we had staff going home early. We just made it official and added that day into the calendar. So that Wednesday before Thanksgiving being off has been of importance to the staff community, and so wanting to respect that as well. Holidays, observances added at board's request. So over the past number of years, we've added Indigenous Peoples Day, which is fantastic. We have added the Cesar Chavez holiday, a few years ago. So respecting the work that this governing board has been doing for the community. So the calendar that I'm bringing you, and I'm just bringing forward one calendar, but it has all of these things accounted for. So if you pull up your calendar, first day of school is Monday, August 5th. October's fall break aligns with Phoenix Union. December through January, December 23rd through January 3rd, Phoenix Union's off during that time for winter break. March 10th through 14th, that's Phoenix Union's spring break. Of course, the federal holidays, MLK, President's Day, those are federal holidays, Labor Day, Veterans Day. Then there's the March Cesar Chavez observance day off. One really important thing to our staff, to our teaching staff, is that we end on that Thursday, so that staff have a full day. It's written into their contract, the number of contracted days. The number of days for staff, for teaching staff, goes through Friday, May 23rd, not having the students' last day. That allows them a full day. That's their day for closing out. So we've got that back on the calendar. If you look at the month of April, that month is, there is no breaks, which is really hard. So you can see that we did have the 14th of October as a possibility of Indigenous Peoples Day observed, and then going into that, onto the 14th, onto that next Monday, instead of the 10th, which falls in. We can move that date from the 14th, since Indigenous Peoples Day, just like this year, fell during fall break. We can move that day into April. The Easter weekend is the 20th, and we've traditionally had that board declared holiday on that Friday. So we can move that October 14th that's printed on the calendar to Friday, April 18.
That would be my preference, because it's, I mean, I don't know about you guys, but like after fall break with the kids home, I'm like, hey, Monday is coming up. Can we get the kids back to school? And it's just going to be really hard for childcare and whatnot. But that what do you guys think about that? Moving the holiday to add a holiday in April.
I mean, I think that would be great. I know when I was working in Phoenix L, they did that, and April's a big testing month. It's draining, it's exhausting, and I think having an extra day, because it's a long long month. So I would definitely be in support of that move.
Okay. Sounds like we have a consensus there.
I didn't go back and forth on this calendar.
Yeah.
There's so much that's that was so nicely aligned to Phoenix Union's calendar that just pretty much flipping that onto Osborne letterhead and worked really well. If as we get a committee together, we can look at other possibilities of a calendar, but this seems to work well, and it kind of meets the not requirements, but the kind of the bullet points that I said ahead of time of looking to be aligned with Phoenix Union, looking to be aligned with what board priorities have been over the past few years and staying aligned with Osborne staff's requests over the years.
J-
Oh,
go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say I had a couple other suggestions that either for this calendar or when we have the committee. One suggestion, again, coming from my experience in Phoenix Cell, but I know that there's some other districts, they do a whole week off during Thanksgiving. And the reason for that was because there's so many, I mean, in Phoenix, we have so many people from out of state. And that's a huge travel time. So I think one, it gives the opportunity to travel, makes that a little bit easier. But then, two, like, if you're hosting your family or something, you have more time. And I really liked that as a teacher. I liked that schedule. I know it's a little bit different than Phoenix Union. How they addressed it is they would start a couple days earlier. So in this case, instead of starting on the 5th, they would start on the 1st. I also like that as a teacher because it was kind of like a way to like ease back in instead of having that full week back. You've got like a couple days. So that could be a suggestion. And then another thing that I think, maybe the committee looks at this, but having like for break, so like for fall break or the winter break, having that first Monday back be like a teacher prep day instead of having the students come back on that day. I think that would be really beneficial.
Yes. A couple things that I'll address both of those, and I would recommend that be for the committee. And that future work, but I will address both of those because they've been brought up, and so just some considerations with that. With the first recommendation around that full week at Thanksgiving, part of that then gets into, like you mentioned, that shift of starting, on a Thursday, Friday. That's a really gentle way to start a school year, a couple days, but it's also something that's come, just so that you guys know historically, that has come before our board and has not been approved, not wanting to do that midweek start. So we have new board members, and so there may be different thinking about that, of coming back from breaks with a teacher workday. Again, a really good day for allowing teachers to kind of get their, a lot of planning and time, but also you have to think about the contract that we offer is for a certain number of days. So if there's an extension of the number of days to add those days in of teacher work days, that's an ask of M&O. So there would be that. The other option is taking away certain teacher work days that we have now and replacing them. And here go that we have 5 teacher work days, 4 before the school year begins and 1 at the very end. We know that our teachers want that 1 at the very end. So if we wind up pulling a couple of those days that teachers come before the beginning of the year, that could wind up with you come back on your first day reporting, get hit heavy with meetings, have maybe 1 day in your classroom, and then school starting. So that's just something that, again, we're going to want a lot of staff input, and we're going to want a lot of parent input. But amazingly great suggestions that have come. We've heard, I've had staff members and principals bring both of those suggestions to me.
So one thing that I think some districts have done, I know we have the 2-hour early dismissal every Wednesday, but maybe instead of doing that every Wednesday, we could look at, some of those Wednesdays being full days so that we can take that time and then put it towards like a teacher work day. So it wouldn't be, I think that would make it a little bit easier. I mean, that again is something that we can do in committee, but something I would like to see us work on.
I'm really glad we're going to this committee because I think it helps parents planning ahead. People are already thinking about summer plans and things like that. So I'm really glad we're doing that and doing this 2 years in advance. Feedback I get is always like, August is so hot. Man, August is so hot. And maybe because I'm, the public school I went to didn't start until later on. And it's people like, why are we starting in August? It's so hot. And our kids can't go outside because of the extreme heats. They can't play for pretty much the whole month of August. Hopefully we got the bond. We're going to work on getting more shade out there, more trees. And attacking it from that design standpoint, but still August is such a coming back August 1st sounds really tough. But
It's interesting
um,
because we've actually had districts move the opposite way
mhm,
and start the school year in July because we've got our testing accountability window
yeah.
in April and on a full year of academic growth, but it's really
Mhm.
based on about 6.5 months of teaching. So,
Yeah.
the further you push back, the shorter that time that
Yeah.
teaching time is. So,
Yeah.
boy, calendars are.
I'll be honest, Ed, as a teacher,
Yeah.
I don't notice coming back a couple days earlier in the summer because we've had, an extended break, but I do really notice it at that, like having that full week at Thanksgiving and moving to Phoenix Union and only having 2 days. It was
I
it
was
was a big change,
I
but
was
yeah.
I was part of that traveling crowd this year, flying back to Puerto Rico, and it was hard
Yeah.
trying to jam it all in there. Um, can I ask a question, Dr. Robert? You mentioned the floating, the moving to October 14th into April. You mentioned April. Was that April? We moved to April 14th or April 21st?
We would move it to April 18th, Friday, April 18th.
Oh, okay. I understand. Friday, April 18th. That makes a lot of sense. Okay. Thank you for clarifying that.
So the recommendation would be to approve the 24-25 calendar with the change of October 14th as a day without school to April 18th.
Okay. I think that makes sense. Any other discussion? Do I have a motion to approve?
Move to approve the calendar with the change made for April 18th.
Got it. And that I will second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none. And thank you so much, and appreciate your hard work on this, as well as the hard work coming in the coming months to put together a really nice committee to look at this for the next 2 years. All right, moving on. Our change to liquidated damages practice. This is a continuation of the discussion item. This one is an action item now, but continuation of discussion item that Board Member Greenberg brought up, and this is really a great time to have this as an action item to actually make some decisions here as to changes to liquidated damages, or potential changes, I should say, because I believe it's our next meeting we're actually going to be issuing contracts. So we want to make sure we have a discussion and vote before we issue those contracts so we can get those out on time. With that, Dr. Rivera, do you want to say anything before we open up to discussion?
We went through this quite exhaustively last time. It was and remains the position of the administration that the liquidated damages policy that we have now and that was negotiated up to this point as part of our overall strategy for that goes into being able to start every school year fully staffed with teaching staff. That's just an additional piece. We've both spoken as to our positions on that notion. It was something that was worked through between myself and the association over time. I would have liked to have seen that remain intact. But the recommendations there for making that change and removing the first period of the assessment of liquidated damages. Regardless of liquidated damages being assessed or not, everyone should understand that issuance of contract and once signed and returned, that breaking that contract is considered unprofessional conduct, right? And the liquidated damages are our assessment of costs that would need to be taken in terms of doing what's necessary for continued work on recruitment of staff. We want to position ourselves in the best possible way to have a fully staffed school for the sake of our kids. And I think that it is part of the overall strategy, like many different parts that go from day one to the opening of school that we work to do to bring about a fully staffed schools for our kids and for our community. But the recommendations being brought forth for consideration to remove that first period, that $500 liquidated damages period, and just have the two periods remain.
Discussion.
I know it was really quick since the last time we met and then we had winter break, but were we able to get any data on other districts that don't have liquidated damages?
I haven't seen any. I don't think it exists, but any data, at least unless we like create it or dig it up. But Dr. Bear?
Yeah, within the city of Phoenix, so of the 14 elementary school districts plus Phoenix Union, I believe there's just 2 that don't have any liquidated damages.
Do you know which ones those are?
I don't.
Okay.
The average number is $2,500,
Yeah.
and most do not have a broken down time period. It's either 2,000 or 2,500 from date of issuance, or not date of issuance, date of return up to the beginning of the school year.
Yeah.
So I think that the position that we've taken has been quite a compromised position.
Any other, just before I kind of give my thoughts and ideas, unless you want me to first before you go, Leanne, I see you're itching to say something. Go ahead, please.
I mean, I have really, really strong feelings about liquidated damages. I shared in the last board meeting, so I don't need to go through that again. I do understand administration's position on it. I think an even better strategy, instead of penalizing people for breaking their contract, I don't think that our teachers make this decision lightly when they have to leave. I just think penalizing our staff is not a great way to build morale, to recruit and retain. I mean, I think sharing that we have the confidence that we're going to provide a district that you want to work and thrive in, and we're not going to hold this like liquidated damages thing over your head, to me is a great way that we can recruit. I don't know if administration feels like they would want to use that as a recruitment strategy to say that we're not going to have this in your contract because we believe in your ability as an adult and a staff member to make this decision that's best for you. But I really think that, people are going to do what they need to do. And there's going to be very few people that are going to make the decision on whether or not it's best to stay over liquidated damages, if that makes sense. So I just think it's just, to me, something that lessens the morale, brings down the morale, and frankly doesn't treat our staff as the professionals that they are.
Yeah, I hear you. And I'm not a huge fan of liquidated damages. I mean, our teachers just don't make. It's a lot of money. I mean, it could be, and I really listened intently to what OEA had to say at the last meeting, and there's clearly a lot of feelings about it, and not all of them consensus yet. I remember like 48, and a lot of that. But I think at least what I'm comfortable with at this time, is that first period. I think to me there was consensus of that first period, because I mean, it feels weird to say, hey, you broke your contract for next year, we're going to take it out of your pay for this year. It is kind of a strange thing. I don't like it. I don't really like liquidated damages generally, but I think that's a good first step, getting rid of that step. So now we're reducing the amount of the time period of liquidated damages while we maybe continue to have those discussions with OEA to see what other reforms. The other thing I think that we can do and should do and will do is, in addition to that revision, is make more transparent those exceptions so that people can look at it, can see it in policy, can see, okay, this is what it is, rather than kind of like hearing about it and wondering what that really means. So to me, that's a first step that we can do pretty easily this year. and then continue to have that discussion and dialogue with OEA through collective bargaining to see what they'd like to do going forward. That's kind of what I'm thinking. But I'd like take
I think
everybody's
it's
pulse
really
on it.
important for the opportunity just to state what the liquidated damages are, and the purpose for doing that, because it's not my position that we are that we are imposing liquidated damages to punish staff for making the decision to leave after a returning contract. It's that's not aligned with me or my values, but rather a contract for employment's been issued and a commitment to that has been made. And when you make that commitment to the district and say that you're coming for this time, the district stops actions towards, we hold that space for you. And we stop the actions to continue recruiting to bring someone in at that point. You don't just tell it to the administration, you tell it to your colleagues. You tell them, I've committed to coming back, and so we then make assignments. And everyone leaves with a sense of, or makes that decision, that they're here. Like, okay, this is where I'm coming. This is where I'm going to be. This is what we've decided to do in terms of, as a staff, where we're going. And when someone then goes back against that, says, I'm coming, but then says, no, I'm not, it then puts everyone in a position of having to now reopen what was once closed. So reopen for, we don't do one-on-one hiring here. Every position that's hired, we gather a committee together. It's a very collaborative effort. So the hiring was collaboratively done. And in that sense, when that contract's broken, it's breaking the collaborative as well, and establishing us to all have to come back and reopen that procedure again. And so the liquidated damages then recoup, and never can fully recoup, what we have to do to reopen what was once closed. It's really important that I have the opportunity to state that's where we're coming from and putting that in place. That we offer a contract. We have given some exceptions that we think are pretty exceptional, that come up, that are reasonable to for us to open up, allow for that contract to be broken at that time. But outside of that contract means something, and we've all moved on forward from it, knowing that we've got things established. And when you have to backtrack and redo all the work that you've already done, there's time that can never have a cost put to it. But there are lots of efforts. Every time Dr. Woodland puts together a job fair for us, there's cost that goes into the, everything that goes with the advertisement to, we can go into a breakdown of what it takes to, what's the cost of hiring. It is something, but I think it's really important that that we understand that there are different positions, but I wanted the opportunity to state what the position was with moving forward with liquidated damages, not as a punishment to staff, but rather as we as a business needing to recoup what it takes to do something in the first place.
Understood. Other questions, thoughts, feelings, on this topic? I'm going to eventually make a motion or ask somebody to make a motion. I'll probably make one, but I want to make sure we get everybody your thoughts out there.
If I wanted to make a motion to amend this to remove liquidated damages.
I think that would be your prerogative to do
Right.
that. You certainly could.
Okay,
You could-
so this is my first time, I think, making.
yeah,
a
go
motion
for
like
it.
that.
Go for
So
it.
I motion to amend that we remove liquidated damages. Does that sound right?
That sounds right. So I believe just a point of clarification on your motion. I believe your motion is to remove liquidated damages from the teacher contracts completely.
Correct. And I would say any contract, I believe it's only in teacher contracts right now. Is that, or is it in other contracts?
It's in administrative contracts. It's in other.
Okay. So it'd be for anywhere there is liquidated damages for all those contracts.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm just looking at what was originally brought to us. It looks like it's mainly regarding the teacher contracts. So I just want to make sure that are we only, just for clarification, for this, as it was presented, is this only in regards to teacher contracts, or are we
No,
talking about
it's in regards
general?
to contracts. Period.
All
Okay.
contracts.
All right.
Okay.
So then in regards to any
Okay.
contracts that include it.
Okay, discussion on the motion. I'll start, but unless anybody wants to, I mean, my thought is I think that motion has merit. My thought is to take it a little bit more incrementally, and let's get rid of the first phase, and then let's see how that goes this year. I think either one. I don't think it's going to be skies falling situation, but I know a big change can worry people. So my thought is let's get rid of the first phase, see how that goes this year, and then let's have staff and our superintendent.
I gotta show you
and
these letters. For me, it came out great at the first or the third attempt. And after you are done, make sure to connect the ending.
our policies, our resignation policies, so that's clear about these. So that's kind of my thought. That's kind of where I'm leaning. Maybe more incremental than getting rid of them, but I understand the motion and I see the merit in it as well. So, other thoughts and discussions and questions?
I agree that the idea of removing step in the good
Hello.
is a good
Today I'm going to
in the right
horizontal
direction
and
for our
vertical
district.
alignment
I would like to ask
what we
OEA
wish to adjust.
Pull their members
Select
again.
the preview
I know that
box
the
to see
data
what we are
that,
doing
was used
and
at the last governing
to
board
group
meeting
them
I felt was a little outdated
with
and
values
was
set to
also
a higher
very
number.
split.
You will
I like to
notice
see more
that
of a consensus
Illustrator,
coming
we are
from
ready to create
OEA.
an outline effect. Press V Ctrl and A keys on your keyboard to select everything, then go to Object, Path, and select Offset Path. Select the preview box to see what we are doing and change the offset to a higher number. You will notice that Illustrator created 3 new layers. With those 3 layers still selected, press the Ctrl Effect. Press the Ctrl and A keys on your keyboard to select everything, then go to Object, Path, and select Offset Path. Select the preview box
to do that. OEA's outreaches to their membership, not to the entire district, to solicit their input on that. So I would request that if that's what you're asking, Member Ford, that you would make the request of me. I mean, OEA can certainly poll their membership, but I would think that the piece of information that was not part of this too is the inclusivity of all teaching staff, and that I have the opportunity to gather that information.
Thank you for the clarification, Dr. Robert. Yes, if you could pull the entire staff in Osborne. I see both sides of this as a teacher. I see the burden that's placed on teachers, especially with the substitute shortage that we have currently, where teachers are being asked to
see what we are doing and change the offset to a higher number. You will notice that Illustrator created 3 new layers. With those 3 layers still selected, press the Ctrl and G keys on your keyboard to group them together. Click on this group, hold, and move it to the bottom.
I would like to see
now
the
apply
survey be
a different color
collaboration
to
between
it.
the two instead of 2 separate surveys.
Select
I think
all
that can be done jointly.
Board Member Peralta, did you want to say something? Yeah, agreed. My apologies for like Robert's Rules of Orders. I probably should have asked if there was a second on the motion before I opened it up for discussion. I think it's probably what I should have done. But we're pretty collaborative here. But is there
second, and then we have to vote on the motion.
is there a second on the motion, Board Member Greenberg's motion?
I second the motion.
Any further discussion on the motion?
Again, I've shared a lot of, my thoughts on this and, in discussion with several people in other districts, having worked in AEA, having talked with different district leaders, different teachers. I, I'm just really surprised that, we have liquidated damages here in Arizona. It's not a practice that's done across the country. And again, I truly believe that most of our staff make choices that are best for them, and they don't choose lightly to leave a teaching position once they've signed a contract. I know that we have 4 teachers on this board and a former teacher. I know that the vote was split when OEA shared that data. I think there's some, there's different things that go into that. However, I would hope that any of us, if we had to make the difficult choice to break our contract, that we would remember this discussion, because if we were assessed those liquidated damages, knowing we didn't make the choice lightly to leave, I just, again, I think it breaks down morale, and it's not really a positive direction that I see the district going in with. I think having, lessening the liquidated damages is a good step in the right direction, but I think we have the opportunity as a board to really show that we truly care about our teachers here and our staff here in Osborne, and that this is not something that we're going to hold over their heads. And I know that's not, nobody goes into it like this is a punishment, but really that is what it is. I think that there are teachers that stay, and it's just kind of a, another letdown to being an educator right now is, hey, if you have to leave and you have to make this difficult choice, guess what? Not only were you not getting paid enough in the first place, but now you've got to pay an extra fee on top of that.
And I just want to state that. So I was just waiting to see if are we good?
Go ahead.
We were just clarifying what the second was.
Okay.
And so I was just clarifying that what was proposed, the only thing that's been proposed thus far is Leanne's amendment, and that was seconded.
Okay, perfect. I just wanted to state that I'm going to support either direction that we go into. But the reason why I seconded it is because, I believe our district is a leader in the community. And I believe in innovation. And so I think that, taking that step, as wild as it may be in some people's eyes, it's a positive step in making sure that we're respecting every individual. But either direction that we go into, I think, is a positive step, and I am willing to support it. I just think that on top of my mind right now is innovation.
Yeah. And I feel very similarly. The only thing I want to see that process, play itself out, and I want to see that kind of engagement with OEA, especially, and with the teachers, with the staff, to build that consensus. And I would be, the first one to say, if that comes back and they say, let's get rid of liquidated damages, I'll be the first one in line. That's kind of where it's kind of where my heart is. But the only thing that's giving me pause is kind of, let's go through that process. Let's try to build that collaboration. And I think there's a satisfactory. I hear OEA. I think there's a satisfactory step in the right direction to eliminate that first phase, and clarify those exemptions so people know. And while we spend the next 5-6 months engaging and collaborating and surveying and coming up with something, if it comes back and it says, hey, let's get rid of it, I'll be the first one in line to do that. But at this point, even though I see the merit in it, I'm inclined to vote no on the motion so we can do this incremental change and then work with the staff and work with OEA further on that. Any other? I think procedurally, we don't get a lot of these, which is kind of fun. Procedurally, I think we vote on your motion, and then see if there's an alternate motion on it. So just to be clear, we're voting on board member Greenberg's motion. So I get that right for the minutes. It's 2 yes and 3 no. So the motion does not pass. I'm going to go ahead and make an alternate motion to revise our liquidated damages policy to eliminate the first phase or first time period that we currently have in policy, to eliminate that time period between contract issuance and signing to April 30th, and then to also or to June. I think it's
Because I think the recommendation right now is May 1st to June 30th.
So through April, what was mentioned about April 30 is just like that part disappears. So what's in our procedures now, if you kind of go back on page 85,
yes,
you can see the breakdown. That's what it was. And so when I put together the board page, the conversation was about eliminating that first time period. So that first time period is that the first bullet, breach of contract from return date April 30th through April 30th equals that $250 liquidated damages payment. That line is stricken in the recommendation down at the bottom. So then if you go now onto page 86, with that line struck, you get the 2 bullet points that are in the middle of page 86. Line 1 saying May 1 through June 30. Line 2 saying July 1 through end of contract.
Okay. I'm going to try the motion again. I'm going to move that we amend our liquidated damages policy to end the first time period for liquidated damages. Don't make me state the time period because I might get it wrong, but we're going to end that first one.
So that's just as presented.
As presented, yes. And to further direct the administration to, prior to the conclusion of the 23-24 school year, to bring an exhibit to policy GCQC, resignation of professional staff members reflecting the liquidated damages practices, for discussion and vote of this board here. That's the motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor, or any discussion on that? I think it's just probably discussioned out. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, hearing none, it does pass. Thank you so much, and I really appreciate the time and the work that everybody put into this, and the continued discussion and collaboration that we all know and expect going forward. Okay.
Can we get a timeline on like when we're going to start having those conversations so that
as a recommendation, part of what Ed just brought up, part of that discussion was, if you look again on page 86, it reads, administration prior to the conclusion of the 23-24 school year will bring an exhibit to policy GCQC reflecting these liquidated damages practices. Part of what you were bringing up, Leanne, was the complete removal of that. So I would think if by the end of the school year we're able to get that feedback from staff, we can bring that forward with that information. And at that point, when I'm bringing forward an exhibit, you can choose to not accept the exhibit and put forward a motion to strike the liquidated damages, because you'll have that more robust information. And we've got we did have our meeting for this Thursday, but that's when AEA is coming. So Storm, Erica, and I will get together soon and discuss how we're going to get this information out to all staff, and phrasing of the question and presentation of the full information. But I would like to have it done so that this piece, if we're going to eliminate liquidated damages altogether, as you know, a motion was brought, you'll have the information for that. And if not, if we're going to stick with this, then you'll have the exhibit prepared that kind of matches the the data coming forward.
Got it. Okay, so that timeline just it is going to be within the next, I don't know, with this school year perhaps?
Yes. Yeah. Prior to end of the school year.
Prior to end of school year. Got it. Okay. Moving on, that is our last of the action items. A lot of action today. Moving on to a discussion of culturally responsive teaching in the brain, chapters 5 and 6, our most recent chapters. Dr. Bear, I'm going to kick it to you to help lead this
Sure, and
discussion.
again, these questions are posed just as starting jumping off points, but it's your book study, and if there's a different direction that you want to go other than those suggested questions, that's something to think about. The way that I try and phrase these questions is, this is the work that we're doing in the classroom as practitioners in the classroom. So I phrase the questions just a little bit differently for that cognitive shift from classroom teacher to board member, and get you thinking about support of the culturally relevant classrooms in Osborne School District, and how your work as a governing board is in support of the practices that are being done here within Osborne, and also reflective of the classrooms that you lead, that 4 of you lead within your own districts. So that first question, just looking at chapter 5 and that discussion of neuroscience, how that affects you as a board member and how you think about the work that you do in supporting culturally responsive classrooms in Osborne.
Thoughts? I really like the chapter, both 5 and 6. I mean, biology's not my area, and so learning about the brain and how all that works and functions is fascinating to me and foreign to me. But I was thinking about my reading when we had Mr. Miguel did that kind of meditation, and just how it things like that, and the time and the breathing puts you in neurologically puts you in a space to do a higher level function and critical thinking, and not that, I forget the reptilian type part of your brain where it's like fight or flight. And I love that kind of stuff, and I love that we support those type of programs that can help move those kids' minds and into that higher level thinking. Other thoughts, reflections on the reading?
I think as board members, we really set the tone, for the district, and we have the opportunity to set a really positive tone, or we have the opportunity to set a not so positive tone. And I think when we're thinking about, programming or policies or other decisions that we're making and grounding it into, what do our kids need, thinking about how the brain works, and like thinking about relationships and teacher wellness. Like if teachers, are feeling good and they've got their mental health in check, then in turn they're sharing that with their kids, learning about some of those mirror neurons, and how kids really feed off of like the energy that their educators bring to them. And then thinking about, like, they talked about like being in nature and how that helps you to regulate yourself. How do we as a board provide more opportunities? How do we provide, maybe it's, funding for field trips. Maybe it's thinking about what do our outdoor spaces look like? The grant that we just got with for trees, expanding that. Those are all things that as board members, like, they all the pieces kind of connect together. And we're not the ones on the ground doing the work here in Osborne, like you all are, and the teachers and the staff are. But we can really make sure that that's a priority when we're making those decisions, to put that thinking first.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I agree there. I think that in the reading that we did, there was a lot of talk about trust building and building rapport, and that relationship, and I see that in the classroom, that if I've built that rapport with my students, then they're more willing to put in the work and have those tough conversations that we typically have in AP. But I see it in our board member work, is that, obviously we want to have a great school district, which we already do, and we want to continue making it, the greatest that it can be. But building that trust with the community, that we're making the right choices in regards to approving program, approving budgets, that we're looking really into meticulously into all of that to make sure that we are all being good leaders, right? And so, and I, like Leanne said, we're obviously not in the classrooms here at at Osborne, but we want to make sure that staff is trusting us. And so I saw a lot of that in the building, the foundation of those relationships, because if they're trusting us, with all the things that we suggest and everything, then they're going to go back to their classrooms and build a rapport with their students. So that would just, it trickles down. So that's what I got from what I was reading and thinking as a board member, is just how it all trickles down.
There's going to be in chapter 7 that's coming up. We're going to really start getting into the academic framework of it, the academic mindset. So that fixed, way of thinking or having that growth mindset. And this chapter is like the affective side, the psychological side that then allows for you to be able to have that growth mindset. But there's the relationship side that comes before that academic side.
Other thoughts, reflections on your reading?
I just love this chapter on relationships. As a parent of a student who goes to an Osborne school, whenever I am on campus, I see how great the relationships are between all staff and students. I remember one time when my son was in preschool, I went to go pick him up early, and Miss Nellie in the front office said, "Oh, you're Carson's mom." And I was just like, "Oh, how do you know Carson?" Because he doesn't get picked up. And she goes, "I go into his preschool classroom, every day so his teacher can have a lunch." And that connection between the front office and his preschool classroom was so cool to see. And he has just the greatest relationship with Miss Nellie in the front office, who is just the best person, who I love dearly. So I just love seeing all of the relationships that our staff builds with our students, and it's really great to see.
Yeah, all of the front office staff they're just like the relationship leaders of our district. They're just all amazing. Does our district still do the Grand Canyon trip? I remember when I joined
Sixth grade.
Sixth grade. They still do that and get out in nature.
They were just approved for an OEF grant.
Okay, I remember that when I was on the foundation board about that was such a big deal. So that's such a another thing that you're talking about, Leanne, getting back into nature and what we can do, and I'm so thankful that program's still going on and the kids get an opportunity to do that. Any other reflections on our readings? If not, and Dr. Rivera said, kind of getting into chapter 7 and 8 will be for our next meeting. So read chapter 7 and 8. We'll come back for further reflections and discussion on that. Moving on to future agenda items, and starting with Board Member Ford. Do you have any future agenda items?
I do. One thing I would like to discuss at one of our next meetings.
Sorry, I took that out of order. Can I put a pin in that? I will come back to that. Reflections and feedback first on the agenda. Sorry, Board Member Ford, you get that. You have to start again. Any reflections or feedback on our meeting today?
Yes, thank you. I was struck by our community partner, Rooted Soul, and I just wanted to reflect on the incredible relationships that Osborne has built with our community, and discussing things like having City Year come in and all of the other really great community partnerships we have. I just want to applaud the leadership on campuses, the leadership here at District for continuing to cultivate and explore relationships with other entities outside of the Osborne staff to bring in all sorts of really great experiences and learning for our students.
Board Member Ramos.
I have on my notes here, the OMS cheer presentation was so great to see.
Loved it.
It's always just fun to see our young people and how they're thriving in our community. Truly, I mean, all of them and the diversity and inclusivity that was part of it. And just how well spoken those two young ladies are. And so I'm really excited to see, hopefully they visit us when they're in high school, and hopefully maybe they want to mentor these students that continue to do cheer. So that was really, I really appreciate that we as board members get to have that opportunity once a month to see little tidbits of what happens at each of the schools. So that's my highlight.
Thank you so much. Okay, Board Member Greenberg.
I'm just, every meeting that we have, we learn new things about the amazing programs that you all are leading. And, I think Osborne, we're small and but mighty. We have a lot of things that our partner districts don't have, and we're really leading in that. We have our electric buses. We've got amazing dual language programs that push back on what some people in Arizona don't want for our kids in terms of language acquisition. And then, I know we've got our dual language Montessori program that is up and running and is, becoming very popular. So there's a lot of really innovative things. And then I really wanted to thank the Encanto community for the board. In the board report, there was a story about Miss May. And I thought that was really great to hear about Miss May. I know having IAs that, they are just another teacher in the room, and they don't always get the recognition that they deserve. So I really appreciate you sharing that about Miss May. And if Miss May hears this, thank you, Miss May, for all your work.
Board Member Peralta.
It was really great having the cheerleaders here, only because it was awesome to see, how excited the coach was and how excited they were. So it's great. You can tell the type of atmosphere that school has built, and especially their extracurriculars. So yeah.
Wonderful. I guess reflections. First of all, thank you guys so much for electing me the president for one more year. I really it does mean a lot that you guys put your faith and confidence in me to help this board along and work with our superintendent and our administration and just be an ambassador for the district. And in that way, it's just wonderful. We're all equals here on this, but just having that just added vote of confidence really means a lot to me. And it's been a fun year doing it. And I think I can handle one more year. I feel like I've just kind of gotten the hang of it. So, and before we pass the torch, but I'm really looking forward to this year, continuing to grow, continuing this district to grow, and just really appreciate the confidence that you guys have put in me. It was kind of fitting to see Elenia here today, our last board president before me, and just to reflect on all the wonderful things she has done for our district, for our families, and the commitment that she has made to both the environment, to our dual language, to make sure that everybody, that we're meeting everybody where they need to be met linguistically. It's very fitting to have her here when those are the big things we're talking about today. And so I just really appreciate all the work that she's done. And that kind of leads me to the next thing about really excited about the AEA, U.S. Department of Education, coming here to our district. Talk about innovative. I mean, they're coming all the way from D.C. They want to come here and spend their time here in our little district because we are doing it so well. We've been doing it so well. They're going to be coming to tour Encanto and probably Clarendon as well because of how well we're doing and because we have proven nationally that this is the model, that segregation is not good. Segregation is not the model. Integration, that welcoming and dual language and how we do it, that's the best way for these kids. And anyone who is going to try to change that, outside forces and politicians or whatever, we are going to push back. We are going to fight to do it the Osborne way, and we're not going to back down. That's what we're going to continue to do. So I'm really excited that they're coming to recognize us in a way, and that we're part of that continued fight. Another thing Elenia mentioned is environment and the work that she's doing. We can't walk down the street, my kids, and if they see a piece of trash, they say, E is for the environment. Right, Felipe, when they're doing their song. So E is, I don't remember the other letters, but I always remember E is for the environment. I won't put Felipe on the spot to tell me what the other letters are, but yeah,
Only if you sing it in its entirety.
yeah, yeah. And the electric buses, I mean, it's fantastic. Not only are we saving tax dollars, saving our constituents money, but we are making our environment better, and it's filtering through to our kids and that message, and they're inspiring us further. Another thing Elena had mentioned about transportation options. This Saturday, 1:00, come on down to back to the district office. We're going to be celebrating the new bike lane that you guys have all seen on Osborne Road that the city put in with a lot of collaboration from our families with our district. That is providing more transportation options, clean transportation options to our kids. We're going to be out here at 1:00, zipping up and down the bike lane with the community and the people who really helped put that together at 1:00 this Saturday. So come on down. That kind of Lenia mentioned to me offhand that that's something that she's like, wow, really impressed that you guys as a community have helped push for that. And we're not done yet. We've got a lot more to do. So a lot to be thankful for. As always, appreciate everyone's professionalism in these discussions. I'm never short of amazed about that. It's what we expect here. And I think as Board Member Greenberg mentioned, that filters down to everybody here in the district. They understand that we are professionals. We treat each other with respect. So even if we don't always agree, that's my last reflection. Superintendent Robert, any reflections?
Yeah, just on the OMS presentation. One thing you talked about the girls, how wonderful it was hearing from them and how well spoken they were. When you listen to the words that they were saying, like how meaningful Vince is to them. What a great mentor can do, and this is what is so great about the clubs and with Miguel as well with his club. OMS has long been as a dad of 4 former OMS kids. Everybody can find their place at OMS, and if it doesn't exist, we'll create it for you, or they can create it for themselves. But when that happens, it brings a sense of confidence to those that are able to go out and find that thing that is them and be able to proclaim it and get behind it. And they form a relationship with adults that are supporting them during clearly the most awkward time in life, right? But nothing about that was shown from them, but their bodies, their minds, their everything is changing so much. And to know that they have such amazing adults that are specially designed for meeting them right where they are. You could hear it from their voices, you could see it in their actions, you could see it in the inclusivity, you could see how everybody gets to be a part of something and find that space for them. So thank you, OMS, for bringing that to us.
It was wonderful. Okay, now I'm moving on to future agenda items. Board Member Ford.
One thing I'd like to discuss as a governing board is the language we use in regards to parent-teacher conferences. We call our spring and our fall conferences parent-teacher conferences. We know as educators that it's not always parents who are raising our students. I would like to propose a discussion about moving toward calling our parent-teacher conferences family-teacher conferences and making that language more inclusive of our families here, not only in Osborne, but in Arizona as well. I know that Phoenix Elementary calls them family-teacher conferences, and there are several other very large districts throughout the United States who have moved toward that more inclusive language, and I would like to discuss that.
I think that's wonderful. Okay, Board Member Ramos, any future agenda items?
None for me.
Member Greenberg.
I don't know if this needs to go on the agenda, but I had some parents from Encanto share concerns with the new bike lanes, not the concern with the bike lanes, but that there's an issue like turning left, I think, in there, and that's made drop off and pick up really difficult. And some parents are like dropping off across the street, which when I heard that, I was like, whoa, like, so I don't know what that looks like or, you know, what we've kind of tried to mitigate that, but I would like to either discuss it or get more information on that.
Yeah, I've heard something similar. It's just that weird left thing. So I hear you. Board Member Peralta.
I know we talked a little bit about heat earlier today, especially when we're discussing the calendar. And I know we have things from the recent election that are going to help combat that. But 2 years ago, just about, we had a conversation with ASU Heat Ready. I wonder if we can, if anything came from that, and if nothing did, if we can revisit that conversation and potentially bring them in. Because I know that they were the ones who were going to be able to help us find grants to do what they wanted to do. So I think that'd be great.
Great. Okay, nothing from me. With that, we are adjourned. Everybody have a great night. Thank you.
Talked individually with folks about getting together to talk about